If you've watched the series Victoria, you probably remember Queen Victoria's bitter and jealous sister, Princess Feodora, a woman portrayed as scheming, envious of Victoria's position, and determined to sabotage her marriage. But who was she really? Were the sisters truly rivals and enemies, or was this just the invention of the screenwriters? Today, we uncover the truth behind Queen Victoria's forgotten sister. Welcome back to Female Tales. I'm Yulia, and together on this channel, we explore the stories of remarkable women from history. If history speaks to you, like the video, join our community, and let's head straight into the depths of the past. If you haven't gone very deep into Queen Victoria's family history, you might be genuinely surprised to learn that she even had a sister at all. Let me surprise you even more. She also had a brother named Karl, though they were only half-siblings. They all shared the same mother, Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, the very woman I recently talked about in my video on monsters. But their fathers were different. Princess Victoria's first marriage was to a German prince. She was widowed and later married again, this time to the British Prince Edward Augustus, Duke of Kent, one of the sons of King George III. It was from this second marriage that the future Queen Victoria was born. As you can imagine, Princess Feodora's childhood, marked by the death of her father and a forced move to Britain, was far from easy. But Edward Augustus turned out to be a very kind stepfather. He accepted both children as his own, and Feodora later wrote to Victoria many times about how deeply she loved him. Sadly, this small island of stability collapsed as well. Edward died when Victoria was only 8 months old, and for Feodora, this was yet another devastating blow. And this was only the beginning of her personal nightmare. After her second husband's death, Victoria's mother found herself in an extremely difficult position. She didn't speak English, had no real connections at court, and was burdened with enormous debts. Her only hope was that her daughter stood third in line to the throne, and she decided to place all her bets on that fact. She received only a tiny allowance from the British government, and that's when John Conroy entered her life. He was the executor of her husband's will and offered his services as her secretary and controller of their finances. There's even a theory that he may have been her lover as well, so possibly her very personal controller too. In any case, the Duchess became completely dependent on Conroy, and her children became hostages of the infamous Kensington system, a harsh set of rules he designed to control every aspect of their lives. Its goal was simple: to make Princess Victoria weak, dependent, and easy to manipulate in the future. Her sister, Feodora, suffered under it just as much and shared the same deep hatred for Conroy that Victoria did. Feodora, who was 12 years older than her sister, later described their existence in this system as not a single joyful thought in our gloomy life. The only happy memories the sisters shared were carriage rides with Baroness Louise Letzen, Victoria's governess. Those were the rare moments when they could speak freely, think freely, and even dress the way they liked. They had no other childhood circle at all. The only other child allowed near them was Conroy's daughter, whom neither sister particularly liked. In reality, throughout their childhood, they truly had only one another. When Feodora grew into a young woman, there was unsurprisingly considerable interest in her as a potential bride. She received several marriage proposals appropriate to her status. After all, she was the sister of a future Queen of England. However, all of these matches were blocked by Conroy. He saw Feodora's presence as a threat to his influence over Victoria's mother, especially if Feodora were to remain in England. So a plan was quickly arranged. Feodora would be married off to a German prince and sent far away, ensuring she could play no role at court. Interestingly, in the series, in a moment of anger, Feodora says that she could have become Queen of England because the aging King George IV wanted to marry her. Such rumours did circulate at court at the time, but in reality, this match was never seriously considered. In the end, Feodora married Ernst I, Prince of Hohenlohe-Langenburg. a man who was not particularly wealthy, whom she had met only twice before, and who was 13 years older than her. Yet, despite the fact that she was essentially marrying a stranger, she was simply relieved to escape Kensington Palace. She later wrote to her sister that she had escaped some years of imprisonment, which you, my poor dear sister, had to endure after I was married. Often have I praised God that he sent my dear Ernest, for I might have married I don't know whom, merely to get away. Have you ever seen those videos online where the older child finally leaves a toxic family, while the younger one watches sadly as they go? This was exactly that situation. Feodora left for Germany with her husband, and 10-year-old Victoria lost her only true friend. They continued to write each other long, tender letters, in which Victoria shared everything with her sister, even details about her dolls. The two sisters were short reunited 6 years after Feodora's marriage, when the couple returned to Kensington Palace. Upon her departure, Victoria wrote, "I clasped her in my arms and kissed her and cried as if my heart would break. So did she, dearest sister. We then tore ourselves from each other in the deepest grief. I sobbed and cried most violently the whole morning. You'd agree that relationships like these hardly resemble what we were shown on screen, wouldn't you? But perhaps over the years something changed, and Feodora really did become that bitter, jealous sister." In the series, one of the reasons behind Feodora's intrigues and jealousy is the difference in the financial status. And yes, Queen Victoria was indeed far wealthier than her sister, the wife of a rather modest German prince, living in a single, poorly equipped castle. But Feodora was never forced to walk around her sister's court in torn dresses or sell access to Victoria's balls, as the show suggests. Every time she visited Great Britain, including in 1848, during the political upheavals across Europe, she was granted financial support of £300, which would be roughly $45,000 in today's money. Feodora and her husband did genuinely struggle financially at times, and often turned to Victoria for loans. But it would be hard to find any relative of Queen Victoria who never once asked her for money. The series also shows Feodora trying to drive a wedge between Albert and Victoria, supposedly out of envy for her sister's happy marriage and love match. In reality, there was no such jealousy. Feodora's own marriage turned out to be quite successful, even though, unlike Victoria, she never had the luxury of choosing her husband freely or even proposing to him herself. Ironically, both sisters were devoted admirers of their husbands, and Feodora, like Victoria, often found her husband's company far more pleasant than that of her many children. Feodora wrote, "I entirely agree with you that, with all one's love for children, it cannot compare with love for one's husband." And now, about the children. In the series, when Feodora arrives at court, she supposedly knows nothing about Victoria's children, and is shocked by how many of them there are, which, honestly, is completely absurd. Victoria and her family were on the front pages of newspapers constantly. She was the monarch of a vast empire. It would have been extremely strange if the number of her children had come as a surprise to anyone, let alone her own sister. Victoria and Albert practically lived like the Kardashians of their time, openly popularizing the idea of a large royal family. But fine, let's forgive the writers this bit of nonsense. Later, Feodora accuses Victoria of not even knowing the names of her children. That too is pure screenwriter fiction created purely for extra drama. In reality, children were one of the sisters' favourite topics in their correspondence. If WhatsApp chats had existed back then, they would have been those sisters endlessly sending each other photos of their little angels. First of all, Feodora, as the older sister, often gave Victoria advice on motherhood. I've already mentioned that Victoria was a rather unconventional mother and had a tendency to emotionally ban her children from time to time. To which Feodora replied, "Children are very difficult to manage." A sentence any mother would agree with, even several centuries later. She urged her sister to be gentler in her parenting methods. "I think the best way is to speak kindly to them about it in the moment, and not always punish them for every trick." Victoria and Albert even named their youngest daughter, Beatrice Mary Victoria Feodora, in honour of Theodora. And when Feodora lost her daughter Eliza to tuberculosis, Queen Victoria sent her grieving sister a bracelet with a miniature portrait of the young girl as a gesture of comfort. So, no. The sisters didn't just know each other's children's names. They shared everything. The joys, the pain, and all the complicated realities of motherhood. Of course, their correspondence wasn't always pure sugar and roses. Like any sisters, they sometimes argued, and politics played no small role in that. After all, these were not just two women, but women with titles and influence. For example, during the Franco-Prussian War, Victoria and Theodora found themselves on opposite sides of the barricades. Their positions reflected the diverging national interests of Great Britain and Germany, and in their letters you can clearly see how carefully and precisely they chose their words during that time. A deeply touching turn in their story came in 1860-61, when Theodora's husband, Prince Ernst, died shortly before Victoria's beloved Alba also passed away. The sisters became widows just months apart. United by shared grief, Victoria desperately wanted Theodora by her side during this dark period. The Queen invited her sister to come live with her in Britain so that they could support one another as widows, hoping to ease each other's loneliness. It was an offer made from the heart, but Theodora ultimately declined. Having lived an independent life in Germany for decades, she did not want to give up her autonomy, even for the comfort of her sister's company. "At my age, I cannot give up either my home or my independence," she firmly wrote to Victoria in September 1862. At the end of season 3, the series, Victoria says, "I have no sister," and Feodora turns away, cutting off their relationship and walking out of her life. But the real Queen Victoria had a sister, and Theodora had a sister too. When Theodora died, likely of cancer, at the age of 64, Victoria's grief was indescribable. She wrote in her diary, "My own darling, only sister, my dear, excellent, noble Theodora is no more. She was my last near relative on an equality with me, the last link with my childhood and youth." Victoria tried desperately to preserve her sister's memory and created a private collection of Theodora's letters, meant only for close family members. Among them was one letter Theodora never sent, but its lines answer forever the question of the true nature of their relationship. And if you have a sister or a brother, these words may touch you deeply. "I can never thank you enough for all you have done for me, for your great love and tender affection," Theodora wrote in that letter, adding that such sisterly feelings cannot die, they must and will live in my soul. Till we meet again, never more to be separated. The true story of Victoria and Theodora is very different from what we were shown on screen. Their real relationship sheds a completely different light on Queen Victoria, showing us that behind the public image of a powerful monarch, there was a younger sister who never stopped valuing the guidance, support, and unconditional love of her beloved older sister. And I truly believe that Theodora has been unfairly forgotten by history and quite undeservedly vilified by the series. In reality, her role in Victoria's life was far more significant than popular culture would have us believe. Did you know that Queen Victoria had a sister? And what do you think about the way Theodora was portrayed on screen? Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.